Sometimes we are in situations and locations that may not be ideal. For example, wanting to record a training webinar and an educational webinar when you're in a hotel situation and the lighting and, well, the background isn't the best. But sometimes you can be in situations where it's magical, where you're not going to be able to capture it again. And you want to capture the magic of that time and that place and be able to use it and repurpose it and personalize it again and again for your clients, for your audience. Well, that is the magic of instant avatars, a new type of avatar that we have added into our models here at Render and into the RenderMe application for all of our existing and future clients. And normally when I do these webinars, these educational videos for all of you, by the way, hi, for those I haven't met, I'm Dr. Jill Schiefelbein, the Chief Experience Officer and a partner here at Render. It's just me, but I thought it would actually be more fun today with this new feature to bring on my business partner and our Chief Executive Officer, Jon Tota, to help kind of share the excitement for why we brought instant avatars to our application. Hey, Jon.
Hey, Jill. Thank you for having me. I always enjoy your webinars. I love them. So it's nice when I get to join you for one of them every once in a while.
Every once in a while, right? But today, since I am repping my Chiefs gear, it's a little bittersweet, right?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But congrats to you guys on another Super Bowl trip. So today I think is really fun because we recently added instant avatars as a new avatar type to the RenderMe application. We've gotten great adoption, a lot of excitement around that for a lot of the reasons that you just said in your opening there. But it also really does add a lot of value to what we've been doing with avatar automations. And so it's going to be fun today to talk not just about instant avatars and how they can live and add value alongside a studio avatar that you might already have, or be the one and only avatar if you're new to the game. And also we can talk a little bit about how all of these avatars can play with our avatar automations and add all kinds of cool efficiencies to your online businesses.
There are some words that I find more sexy than others in the English language, and efficiency in most situations is one of those words. So when we first got these, it was right before I was about to take off for some crazy adventure, and I thought I would capture our first, when we were still playing around with it, our first instant avatar iteration and something that's a bit unique. So before we go on and tell you exactly what it is, how the magic is made, let's take a look at a video that I have for all of you.
We're so excited to introduce the Instant Avatar product to all of our clients here at Render. So excited, in fact, that I thought my first iteration should be dressed as Santa on Christmas Eve at base camp of Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, really, who else has this avatar when the setting really matters, or when you want a more casual framing, or when you want to shift your look? An instant avatar can be a great fit for you. Want to learn more? My real human counterpart will explain everything you need to know.
So yeah, that was kind of fun to do.
Well, and I think it's a great example. I love talking about that one because, as you know, you don't get to go to Kilimanjaro very often, and you certainly don't have a Santa suit on
No,
in most cases.
And it was actually Christmas Eve, right? So on top of all of that.
And so to your point earlier, it is a way that you can capture these moments where you have the perfect setting, a once in a lifetime setting, and you may want to be able to generate videos in that look, that outfit, that location over and over again, integrated into your business in different ways. And I think that's a great use case. Also, like I might like my background in my office where I do my Zoom calls every day, or sitting in my car because that's kind of a natural way that I speak to people. And I think that instant avatars kind of open up all of these new opportunities where we don't just think about our avatars as a tool for creating online learning, but rather more of a communication tool. And that opens up like all these new ideas of where location and even your wardrobe really does matter when you start thinking about all the different ways you communicate with your clients and prospects.
And this, I mean, Yes, it was fun as heck. It was funny for all of my fellow hikers to be like, why are you putting a Santa suit and filming a video? You are a crazy person. That was fine enough. But what's really fascinating about this, before we kind of go into some of the use cases, and we have tons of them for you guys, I want to say how easy it was to actually do. So if you have a studio avatar, this is your 4K quality when you need to be polished, when you need to be professional, when the highest possible quality of your hyper representation, your digital likeness matters, your studio avatar is what you are going to stick with. And I don't see that changing in the near future. But when you want to have flexibility, when you have situational awareness, when you need to change wardrobe, when you need to do something a little different that maybe is even a little more informal, an instant avatar can be a great fit. And all you have to do once you are set up, so the setup process, I'll let Jon explain in a minute, but literally all you have to do once you've gotten all the authorizations and we've approved your identity, you've legalized the identity for us to be able to do this, your phone, 2 minutes, 2 minutes of footage. That is all you need to be able to take and use that appearance that you currently have in that moment and whatever background that is into an instant avatar that you can use with any of the automations that you already have set up or may set up with RenderMe.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things to touch on is, the reason people become Render subscribers and use our services because we try to kind of sort through all the best of the best tools out there, bring them together, make it easy for our users to really use all of these different avatar types. And the studio avatar, and I think this is probably good just to kind of go over, studio avatars need to be shot on a green screen or blue screen inside of a studio, high quality lighting, high quality cameras. So it's going to have your highest resolution, really high level of good quality lip sync. But also because it's shot in a green screen, the background, when you use it inside of Render, you can drop your avatar on any background, either a flat image or video, and you can move it around, change the size. So if you want to drop your likeness into a learning module, a presentation, a portfolio, you're always going to want to use the studio avatar. The instant avatar, and why we love it, because it just adds this whole nother level of functionality to someone who's using Render maybe for those purposes with the studio avatar. Now you can use it as a true communications tool. The background that I captured in will always be in the video. So if I capture it, like Jill said, webcam, iPhone, any camera really, and all it takes is a 2-minute capture. So you're just going to hit record on your phone, on your webcam, talk about literally anything for 2 minutes. And then you upload that to the Render platform, and within hours you have a new avatar. And so when you think about the amount of effort that goes into creating a studio avatar, it's very capable in a lot of ways, but it's also a lot of effort, and it's always in one outfit. Whereas this kind of gives you that flexibility and fun factor alongside the studio avatar.
And it's really interesting too. You look at the studio avatar, this is something that you could give to a creative on your team or an L&D learning and development manager, et cetera. And they can take that studio avatar because of nature of how it's designed and easily replicate it, easily place it in any of your content. But again, sometimes you want more agency and more control over how you look and where you appear. So for example, actually, wait. Before I get into use cases, what we didn't talk about real quick is, if you have to go into a physical studio, that's one thing. Instant avatars, in order to get set up, what is it, 30, 40 minutes talking to you, Jon?
Yeah, so great point, Jill. So everybody knows when you would normally book with us for a studio avatar, one of the real strengths of Render is that we have a studio partner network nationwide. So we've got 14 studio partners in different cities, and that's been really great to make it easier for people to get into a local studio on their own schedule and do the capture. But it's still a 90-minute process in the studio, and there's a reasonable cost that goes along with that. Instant avatars, we do a virtual 30-minute session done just through the webcam on your computer. The quality really doesn't matter because when we do that first capture, it's really capturing a 2-minute clip with you and then running a validation process with the model provider. And we just really need to authenticate, validate that you are who you are. And then we're able to add that to your render profile. And then from that point forward, you can upload as many clips, up to 100 video clips for different looks and locations. But you can do it anytime with your phone or your webcam. So just a 30-minute virtual session from your own computer. You don't need hair and makeup. You don't have to worry about how great your lighting is. We just get the validation done, and then you're off and running.
There's such a low barrier to entry here. And one of the things that I think is so important, and John, when you and I get on our rants, so I'm going to try not to get us on our rant here, but when we get on our rants about why we love what we do with digital likeness and our avatars more than others, is because our intent is for people not using them as parlor tricks. We want people to use them in ways that are integrated in the existing systems and processes that they have. We, as I talk about all the time, want them to be using them to think of ways to better personalize, customize, and provide agency of choice to their customers. And so you get a lot of these things. Like, I downloaded this app earlier to be able to create this avatar on my phone. So great, I have this look. Number one, the audio quality is complete crap. Complete and utter crap, even though I was using a mic in it, because it's not a studio audio voice replica used with the best in class provider, number one. But number two, again, that video is great. I can type in text and have it script out something, but it's not connected, and it can't connect to anything else or any other system that I have. So before we go into like some industry specific use cases to really get it, solidified in people's minds, anything you want to say about kind of the automation side and why we really work that way?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Jill, because for us, a lot of this experience with render, and we've been doing this now for several years. We started it in this space, and Jill, you've been with me from the beginning, like 2021. And so now in 4 years, being in a space of synthetic media and AI generation, things just move very quickly. And in the beginning, if everybody remembers, the video avatars were better than the voice. And then the voices got so good, and they did such a good job of replicating everybody's natural tone in speaking. They kind of surpassed the avatars. And then the avatars now are catching up. And, this idea that for us, I think the novelty of a good performing avatar has kind of worn off. Like, we expected at this stage to sound like you, to look like you, to be, increasingly more human-like by the month. That kind of, the light bulb went off for all of us, because we've been doing this for a while now. And it's like, well, why do you have an avatar? Like, what's the point of having an avatar if I could just do that with my own phone or my webcam and create a quick video? Well, that's when we really started focusing on personalization, mass personalization. If anybody remembers, batch rendering was one of our early innovations in this area. And that kind of led us to avatar automations. And for us, that was like, our best way to put an avatar to work for you and your business. And if you think about it, like, yeah, if you work in markets in multiple different languages, the ability for your likeness to speak effectively in all those languages, that's a great use case. But we have a lot of people that don't operate outside of their one language market. And then we started thinking, well, mass personalization, adding this human element, even if it's your avatar, to all of your online interactions and automations just made a ton of sense. And that's why adding new avatar types is so important to us, because really the big value in render is the way that we can help automate and create those efficiencies and personalization points for you and your customers by using avatars in the right spots.
And I think when we look at automations, I mean, gosh, the batch rendering, that was a couple of years ago. Like, we were on the ball on that pretty early, because we used to talk about, I remember my first time in the studio, I'm like, let's make it like a mail merge. You remember those annoying Christmas envelope labels you had to print out, but it merged it all together. How can we do that with avatars? And so now we're doing it in a meaningful way, where at the simple level, you can have something like a video form. And at the end of this, we'll put up a QR code to John so you can see his instant avatar from exactly how he looks today, because he created one in 2 minutes right before the show that we're recording. he created that. So you can see this in action on a basic video form where you can create a form, you have the variables, they feed into a script, and then you get that delivered personalized to you based on how you filled out that form. So I want you to imagine now, use case wise, you are a speaker like I am. So I've had a video form for myself as a speaker. It is the single most highest converting asset that I have as a follow-up tool from stage that people will scan, get on the list, and engage and interact. It's the best one in my 10 plus career of speaking that I have been able to use as kind of a lead magnet, etc. But aside from that, I would use it with, one background. Now I can go and I have my video form. I can make a 2-minute video with an instant avatar of me on the exact location where I'm speaking. So when the person who fills out this form gets this video delivered back to them, it's me in the outfit that they just saw me in, delivering a personalized message to them. And why that matters is, think of another situation. Think of working at a trade show, right? You're working in your company's booth, whatever industry it is, at a trade show, and you're going around meeting a ton of people, or maybe you're attending a trade show and going around and talking to a lot of different vendors. You meet hundreds, if not thousands, of people during these events. So how do you stand out and how do you become more memorable? It's not this auto-generated follow-up email where the only point of personalization is someone's name. No, it's by actually taking some data, entering it real quickly, getting it into a conversation, shooting this on the actual trade show floor. And you can be moving around in different ways, shooting this video, having so much context. So when people get it, it's an immediate reminder of the event you were at, what you looked like, the exact outfit you were wearing, and you're more likely to jog their memory of your conversation. That's when this type of stuff can be powerful. And I get so animated when I talk about all these use cases, John. I'm so excited. What else do people want to know about? What other situations?
So we throw out the term video form a lot. And I think to explain to people what that is, essentially, that was our first avatar automation. And what it is basically everybody's got a lead capture form on their website. And I go in and I enter a few fields of data. I may answer some questions. Generally, users are very open to doing that. They came to your website. They want to give you their information so that they can get contacted. Now, the best of them will automatically send you a personalized email. Maybe it references some of the things you filled out, but that's about it. And everybody expects that. That's kind of like table stakes now. But what we decided to do with our video forms is essentially replicate those exact same lead capture forms, but replace the one you're using on your website today with the embed code that we provide from the platform. And that allows you to drop this embeddable lead capture form anywhere on your website or in your application, wherever it might be. And then when somebody answers all that information, it still gets sent into your normal database, email marketing system, what have you. But we also use that information we've captured to generate a personalized and custom video for that individual user, reusing the data that they actually entered into the form. So it adds value to them. It adds a nice brand, a presence, and a personal touch to the process. And that was, as Jill, I think you started using it on stage, and it's just a really cool approach. And everybody feels like they got something a little more special from you in that case. And that was kind of the first of the automations for us. And now we've moved on to looking at, well, what happens after you capture a lead? People schedule with you online. They use Calendly, HubSpot, Schedule Once, whatever it might be. We wanted to be able to support that because, again, people willingly give you a lot of information when they're trying to schedule with you. But at best, they get a email confirmation with not much personalization, just to say that you're officially booked. So now we can add to that a personalized video that even prepares them a little for the unique meeting they're about to have with you. And then we just keep going through the customer life cycle in different ways. And Jill, I can let you even touch on some of the other ones we're doing now as well.
I mean, it's just so exciting. And from the automations, I think one thing that is important to talk about, and the dev team, led by our Chief Product Officer, Moki Goyal, our third business partner, did a really good job in getting us set up as, I forget the technical term. What is it in Zapier? What are we now?
Oh, I don't know. I just know that it's really easy for people to connect us
Like
to
we're
any of their
a
applications.
connected
Yeah.
application,
We're
right?
in the
Zapier.
Zapier marketplace now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that's the phrase I was looking for, the marketplace. So when you look at your tools that you're already using in your business, what is your scheduler? What is your CRM, your customer relationship management system, et cetera, et cetera. And even if you don't have one set up yet, maybe you have been bootstrapping this and you haven't invested in a Pipedrive or a HubSpot or whatever it may be. Maybe you're using Google Sheets. Well, great. Zapier, Zip, Zap, whatever, that can connect those APIs, those application programming interfaces together to help data transfer back and forth so you can get kind of that output. So it's not even only personalized, like, hey, John, thanks for coming to this event at this time, and I know you're interested in why, but it's actually educational, based exactly on where someone's at any given time. So, filling in basic fill in the blank data, that's one thing. When you can connect that data to meaningful insights from another database, if you have your data in order, the power of these automations at scale is insane.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. When you start to think about the types of automations you can do, and of course we support the basic ones that are somewhat easy to do, payment processing through Stripe or Square or, whatever online service you're using, integrating, with CRMs that have all triggered events that could then provide data for us to generate a unique script. I think the ones that get really interesting, we're starting to work with assessments or learning management systems, anything that captures a lot of data, any platform that you use and your users interact with every day, it captures a ton of data and it creates trigger events. And those two things allow us to have an intelligent script dynamically generated for each personalized user and immediately sent to them. And this is within it depends on whether you're using a studio avatar or an instant avatar, but you're talking about somewhere between 4 to 7 minutes and they get a personalized video. So if you think about it, you've got someone who signs up for your masterclass. Well, wouldn't it be awesome if they got a welcome video that knew something about them, maybe how they assessed before they got assigned to that masterclass, and maybe some preparation that they could have in order to be, in the right moment with all the right resources for that masterclass. So that these just-in-time communications that are more than just insert your name here, but what we like to call it variable logic, based on how someone fills out the form, how they complete an assessment, whatever that front-end tool might be, we then create an intelligent script, personalized and customized for that person. And that's where it really gets great. I mean, we're looking at a scenario project we're working on now where we have a facilitator of a large assessment, and we have that essentially dynamically creating unique analyses for each individual based on their assessment results. And that's all AI generated. And so that's something that would take the individual, the human, hours for each person. And we can do this using your digital likeness and a lot of automation that we build in between, but really cool things that are saving people a ton of time, not changing the things you do today, but adding this extra layer of personalized video in and around the things that you're already doing online.
I mean, for me to get a personalized video from even the likeness of someone saying, hey, thank you for buying this, greeting you by name, letting you know that they're so excited to meet you. That's freaking cool. Those are shareable moments. Those are digital experiences that people remember.
Yeah, and I think these enterprise solutions, and again, that we're talking about some solutions that are more complicated in the execution. We're obviously at Render, we're integration experts, so we really specialize in those more complicated integrations and solutions that are going to give a scalable, personalized video experience to hundreds or thousands of fans or members of your organization or followers of yours. But even on the small scale, right? You could take that same methodology and implement it with our video form and implement it into the presentations you give on stage by someone scanning a QR code and going directly to your video form, answering some, smart questions that are connected to an intelligent script that your avatar will deliver, personalized and custom for each person. So even the stuff that we talk about that seems really complicated, and it is very hard to do at very high scale like we're doing, any individual can do this with a little bit of thought, a little bit of planning into how you script it and workflow it. That's what we're here for. And then it came like, well, not everybody had a studio avatar and they wanted to do this, but they didn't have time to get into the studio, or the way they wanted to do this workflow, it required a series of 5 or 6 videos that would be delivered in sequence, and you didn't want to use the same outfit in every one. And so that's where instant avatars entering into the mix for us really adds that much more value to these automations, because the automations are communications as much as anything else. And that means that, like, capturing yourself in your own setting, the most human-like version of your digital likeness, is important. It feels more connected to the individual. And like, we, a little tongue-in-cheekish, sometimes we talk about humanize your automations with an avatar. We know it's not as human as you are in real life, but it's definitely more humanized than just a form email. And that's kind of the point. It's like, yeah, it's a little tongue in cheek, but it's true. If my brand matters and my presence in your inbox or your text or wherever it lands gives you a little bit of a like higher level of engagement with me and my brand, then that's what an avatar is for.
Well, and I think of how many doctor appointments you've been to in your life where you didn't know what this physician looked like, sounded like, or anything before you went in. And there's whole theories on how our mind has to first reconcile all the things of what we perceived might be the reality versus what the reality is. If you can eliminate that friction right away simply by having a digital likeness, I know I'm putting on my geek nerd researcher hat here just for a little bit, guys, but it is scientifically proven to make a difference in your interactions. So imagine you were at one point in time, in many cases, and if maybe not, maybe one of your children or someone you know going to college for the first time. I remember the first time I met my advisor in person, and it was one of the most not pleasant experiences. For many, many reasons. Number one, because they didn't have any way of getting the data beforehand or didn't take the time to know anything about me before I walked in. So I felt like a mere number. But two, I didn't know who this person was. I was walking into a room full of people looking around, and I'm like, well, who is, I'm not going to say her name, but, who is this person? And well, I felt it. But now let's say they log in, you have the data of what majors they're interested in. You as their advisor gets a video to them where they already know your face, what you sound like, that they know you, they have your data, and they're looking forward to meeting with you and talking about it. That takes out a whole lot of barriers of friction in an initial introduction relationship. So I think of any business where you have that type of, hey, we have to stair step into meeting. It's not a blind date anymore when you can have a digital likeness. And people can argue, well, a picture on a website can help too. It absolutely can. It can help, no question. But the more social cues, the more rich forms of media that we can be delivering to our audiences, to our customers and potential customers, gives us a more full picture of self that science is behind, leads you to faster moving towards your next steps.
Yeah. And I think, we're in a video generation, right? Like, this is what everybody wants. They want video in every form they can get it. They don't want to read. They'd prefer to be taught and communicated with in full video because the tech is there. That's what we have in our pocket now. And I think for us, this has been a really great turning point. We launched the first avatar automations probably around like last summer, and really started to get heavy with it in the fall. And then we just added instant avatars at the end of the year. And so now all of this has come together for us in a way that, like, we have multiple different ways that you can communicate using your render dashboard and the different avatar products. But now there's a purpose for your avatar. The automations really put it to work, and the sky's the limit. Like, I don't know that anybody's come to us with an automation idea that we haven't been able to figure out and deploy, because everything we do now, it has some online hosted component to it that's capturing data and generating triggers. And you can think about your own business and all the things that happen off of your website and all the online tools that you use, and your CRMs are all cloud-based, right? Like, all of that data is accessible to tools like ours, and we've made it very easy to do, so that like there's nothing out there that you can't integrate your personalized communication tool right into. And so that it's super fun. We've got lots of cool things that you can look at. As Jill mentioned before, we're going to throw up a QR code at the end, and that'll take you to my video form page. You'll see my instant avatar looking very much like me right on the start of that, so you can get a firsthand look at it. But then also just answer a few questions, and you can fill out a video form. Mine's pretty simple. You can request Jill's. Yours is a much more interesting video form than mine. But for a demonstration purpose, just to see what it's like getting a personalized video instantly generated. One of the great things is like avatars were supposed to create efficiencies. Having a digital likeness was supposed to make your life easier and allow you to be in more places at once. And there was still too much friction in having to be the one to write every one of those, go in and generate every one of those videos. So if you think about it, really the core capability of what we've done with automations is to really move that off your plate and let your systems and your end users, prospects, clients, colleagues, whoever is interacting with you, they're inputting the data and generating the triggers to get instant videos. Whatever avatar you use to do that, we want to support as many of the cool ones out there as we can. But our goal is to not just make avatars, but make them work for you and your business.
No, I love it, Jon. And I think for those interested in this, number one, fill out Jon's form, contact us. All the contact information is available to you. We are more than happy to help. I'm actually going to go, as soon as we hang up, and create an instant avatar in my, Kansas City shirt here outside, because it's a nice day here in Topsail Island, North Carolina right now. So I'm going to step outside and record that instant avatar outside of my present Airbnb. And if you want that avatar just to see, please let me know, and you can see immediately how it was based on what you saw and interacted with right here today. But right as we sign off, and Jon had a great wrap-up comment there, I just want to let everyone know our YouTube channel has a ton of other tutorials with ideas, with use cases, and all of those ideas and use cases, even the ones from a couple years ago, they still exist. They're still good, and now you can do it with automations in an even more scalable way, with even less work once it's set up on your behalf, which is really, really cool. So make sure to avail yourselves of those educational opportunities. And of course, if you have questions, you can contact us at any time. We love talking about this. I mean, my whole thing is the use cases and the science and the theory and putting it into practice and making sure these are tried and tested and proven ways for businesses to use this technology to communicate effectively. And if you want to start geeking out more on the is this possible API type side, Jon will have those conversations with you, and he will sit and be happy all day doing that. So do not hesitate to reach out with those. Before I say my final thought, Jon, anything you want to leave?
No, I just want to thank everyone who's been following along. Some are obviously Render customers who've been with us from the beginning and kind of been on this ride, this journey of seeing how these AI assisted products are getting better by the month. And also people who are just following us and been watching Jill's videos and social YouTube. One of the goals for us is to educate people and to show you all the different ways that we're using avatars, that our customers are using avatars. It may not be the thing you want to do right now, but always follow us, keep reading. At some point, you're going to see something we're doing and the light bulb's going to go off. And we're always happy to have that conversation. Even if we haven't found a way to get you into an avatar just yet, we're always happy to talk to you and brainstorm and dream up new possibilities.
All right, we are here for those light bulb moments. That's a nice way to end. Well, Jon, thanks for joining me today. It was very cool to not have to do this completely solo, and I'm sure all of you enjoyed having another personality in a conversation here and training. And again, I'm going to toss the QR code up here in just a second as we wrap this up. We'll leave it on with plenty of time for you to scan it. Please, please, please go check that out. And if you have questions, follow up with either of us. We're here to help you find ways to use and leverage your digital likeness to create better experiences for your customers and more efficiencies for your business.
Thanks, everyone.